Before you ever place someone you love into a retirement home because everyone says it's the best place around, listen to my story first. People still tell me I imagined everything because of my age. The police never found any evidence. The owners of the home were never arrested. Families still wait years to get their loved ones inside because the place has such an excellent reputation. But every month, someone disappears. And I know exactly why. My name is Sadie Williams, and I almost became one of them. It all started because my daughter-in-law wanted what she called a better life for me. I was 78 years old and had lived in my little white house for almost 50 years. Every corner of that home held a memory. My husband, George, had built the back porch with his own hands. We planted the oak tree in the front yard the day our son, Daniel, was born. Every Christmas, every birthday, every family dinner had happened inside those walls. George had been gone for 6 years. Since then, I lived alone. Yes, I moved a little slower. Yes, my knees hurt, but I still cooked my own meals, watered my flowers every morning, and read on my porch every evening while watching the neighborhood children ride their bicycles. I was lonely sometimes, but lonely wasn't the same as unhappy. Every Sunday, Daniel and his wife Melissa came over for dinner. Melissa always smiled, always spoke kindly, but I noticed something changing. Every visit, she'd bring up retirement homes. They have wonderful activities. They have doctors 24 hours a day. You'd have so many friends. Each week, her voice became a little more persuasive. One Sunday, she placed a colorful brochure in front of me. Across the front were smiling, elderly couples dancing beneath bright chandeliers. The words read, "Rose Haven Retirement Estate, where your best years truly begin." "It looks beautiful," Melissa said. "I didn't even pick it up. I'm staying right here." Daniel looked uncomfortable. "I told Melissa you probably wouldn't want to move." Melissa gently squeezed his arm. "We're only thinking about your safety." "My safety?" I asked. "I've lived here longer than either of you have been alive." She smiled patiently. "What happens if you fall?" "I won't." "What if you get sick?" "I'll call the doctor." "What if no one hears you?" I looked out the kitchen window. For some reason, the conversation made the room feel colder. "There are stories about that place," I quietly said. Melissa laughed. "Oh? They say people disappear." Daniel sighed. "Mom, I've heard it from more than one person." Melissa leaned closer. "What exactly have you heard?" I lowered my voice without realizing it. "They say every few months, one resident simply vanishes. No funeral, no moving trucks, no family picking them up. They're just gone." Melissa smiled as though I'd told a child's ghost story. Rumors spread everywhere. Daniel nodded. "I'm sure there's an explanation." I looked him directly in the eyes. "Then why does nobody ever explain it?" Neither of them answered. Instead, Melissa changed the subject. Over the next 2 months, the pressure became constant. Daniel started worrying every time I forgot something small. Melissa began pointing out every ache I had. "You shouldn't be climbing ladders. You shouldn't be mowing your lawn. You shouldn't be driving at night." One afternoon, I slipped while watering my flowers. I didn't even fall. I simply caught myself on the porch railing. Unfortunately, Melissa happened to see it. By evening, she was already calling Daniel. A week later, they sat me down. Daniel looked exhausted. "Mom, I can't stop worrying. I work all day. I lie awake wondering if something's happened to you." I reached across the table. "I've managed this long. I know." His eyes filled with tears. "But if something happened and I wasn't there?" Melissa softly spoke. "You deserve people around you. People your own age. There are card games, gardening clubs, movie nights, live music. And everyone who lives there says the food is amazing." She reached across the table and took my hand. "You don't have to be alone anymore." I looked from my son to his wife. They both truly believed they were helping me. Finally, I nodded. "If I don't like it, I come home." Daniel smiled with relief. "Of course." Melissa hugged me tightly. "You'll love it." Looking back now, I wish I had seen the strange smile on her face. Moving day arrived sooner than I expected. Rose Haven looked more like a luxury hotel than a retirement home. Fresh flowers lined the entrance. A fountain sparkled beneath the morning sun. Birds chirped from perfectly trimmed gardens. Everything looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. Inside, polished marble floors reflected crystal chandeliers. Soft piano music floated through the lobby. Residents laughed together over coffee. The place smelled of fresh bread and cinnamon. A cheerful woman greeted us. "You must be Mrs. Sadie Williams." She smiled warmly. "I'm Evelyn, the activities director." She hugged me before I could even introduce myself. "We've been looking forward to meeting you." Her kindness felt genuine. She gave me a tour. There was a beautiful library, an art room, a greenhouse, a movie theater, a heated indoor swimming pool, even a small ice cream shop. Every employee smiled. Every resident looked happy. By lunchtime, I started wondering if I'd been wrong. The food was incredible. Fresh baked bread, roasted chicken, vegetables straight from their own garden, homemade peach cobbler. One of the ladies laughed. "I've gained 10 pounds since moving here." Everyone at the table burst into laughter, for the first time in months. So did I. The days settled into a pleasant routine. Breakfast at 8, gardening after lunch, bingo in the afternoon, music after dinner. I made friends almost immediately. There was cheerful Martha, who had once owned a bakery, quiet Eleanor, who solved crossword puzzles faster than anyone, Frank, a retired history teacher who could tell stories for hours, and Harold Henderson. Harold was 84, thin, gentle, always smiling. Every afternoon we'd sit beneath the giant oak tree overlooking the gardens. He always carried a pocket watch, every evening. At exactly 6 o'clock, he'd stare toward the oldest wing of the building, then quietly whisper, "They're counting again." I asked him once what he meant. He smiled. "Oh, you'll understand." Then he refused to say another word. 3 wonderful weeks passed. I called Daniel every Sunday. "You were right," I admitted. "I'm happier than I've been in years." He sounded relieved. Melissa laughed happily in the background. "I told you she'd love it." I truly believed I had judged Rose Haven unfairly, until the night I woke to the sound of someone crying. It wasn't loud. It wasn't close. It sounded like someone deep inside the building, trying desperately not to be heard. I sat upright in bed. The digital clock beside me read exactly 12 a.m. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the crying stopped. I told myself it had only been a dream. But the following night, at exactly midnight, the crying returned. This time, it lasted much longer.